Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. Why the galaxy's deadliest murderers panic at the sight of Deathworlders. They sent a human. Just one. Oh, that's rich. Captain Drazak Vaughn laughed so hard his respiratory sacs inflated to twice their normal size, nearly popping the gold-trimmed collar of his formal military attire. The three-eyed Zalaxian commander wiped a bead of viscous fluid from his central eye and tapped his curved talon against the holographic display. Are the Galactic Council officials trying to insult us, or are they simply stupid? He asked, addressing the bridge crew of the warship Eternal Conquest. Lieutenant Pax Morva, his second in command, slithered forward. Unlike the bipedal Zalaxians, Morva's serpentine, Quillian body moved with practiced grace across the polished deck. Perhaps they believe the rumors, Captain Morva suggested in a melodic hiss. The ones about humans being formidable. Vaughn snorted. Formidable. They evolved on a backwater death planet where everything tries to kill them. They have no natural armor, no claws, pathetic sensory capabilities, and their bones snap if you look at them wrong. What could possibly make them formidable? The hologram showed a small transport vessel approaching their blockade around the mining colony of Taurus 9. The Zalaxian Empire had claimed the uranium-rich planetoid 6 standard cycles ago, forcibly removing the original inhabitants. Now the Galactic Council is sending this a single negotiator. The human vessel is requesting permission to dock, announced Communications Officer Grill Zenik, her blue-scaled fingers dancing across the control panel. They claim to have diplomatic credentials. They clad it. Pull on craft a den. Let them dock, Vaughn said with a dismissive wave. I could use the entertainment. Assemble a security team of our best warriors. Not that we'll need them, but let's put on a proper show for our distinguished guest. Security Chief Kra Dalmer clicked his mandibles together in acknowledgement. With respect, Captain, I've studied the files on humans. They're classified as Deathworlders for a reason. Perhaps we should. Are you suggesting I should fear a soft-skinned primate? Born interrupted another voice, dorsal spines rising in irritation, one who lacks even basic protective plating. Not fear, Captain, caution, Dalmer replied, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of anxiety among his species. The Vrex Collective attempted to harvest a human colony last year. The collective lost an entire battle cruiser. Bourne waved away the concern. Propaganda, the humans probably got lucky or had superior technology. Technology we've now neutralized with our dampening field. He pointed to the status screen showing the energy grid surrounding Taurus 9, designed to disable advanced weaponry. Besides, we're not trying to kill this human yet. We're simply going to explain that the Zalaxian Empire doesn't recognize the Council's authority here and then send them away with their tail between their legs. Do humans even have tails? No, Captain, Morva replied. Though they do have appendixes which serve no purpose. Fascinating, Bourne said with mock interest. Useless organs for a useless species. The bridge fell silent as the crew returned to their duties. Vaughn settled into his command chair, running a talon along its armrest. The last 3 planetary acquisitions had been disappointingly easy. Perhaps this human would provide some amusement before the inevitable surrender of Taurus 9. 30 minutes later, Vaughn and his honor guard stood in the main docking bay as the airlock cycled open. The Zalaxian warriors, each standing over 7 foot tall with armored exoskeletons and integrated plasma weapons, formed an intimidating semicircle. Through the mist of the airlock stepped a human female. She stood barely over 5.5 foot tall, with copper-colored hair pulled back tightly against her skull. Her skin was pale, almost translucent under the harsh docking bay lights. She wore no armor, just a simple gray uniform with the Galactic Council insignia on the breast pocket. Captain Vaughn, she asked, her voice surprisingly steady. I'm Emissary Talia Reeves, representing the Galactic Council. Thank you for allowing me to dock. Vaughn stepped forward, towering over the human emissary. How brave of the council to send you all alone. The human's mouth curved upward slightly. Who said I'm alone? Our scans detected only one life form aboard your vessel. Your scans detected only one human life form, Reeves corrected. But I'm sure that's not important right now. Before Vaughn could respond, the human continued, I've come to discuss the immediate withdrawal of Zalaxian forces from Taurus 9 as per Resolution 7293 of the Galactic Council. Laughter erupted from Vaughn and his guards. The captain bent down, bringing his face uncomfortably close to the human's. Perhaps you misunderstand the situation, little mammal. We don't recognize your council's authority here. Taurus 9 belongs to the Zalaxian Empire now. Interesting, Reeves said, seemingly unperturbed by the captain's proximity. And what about the 15,000 Lorian civilians you displaced, relocated? Vaughn corrected with a smirk. For their safety, of course. Of course, the human echoed, that small smile still playing on her lips. Captain, I'm authorized to offer you one opportunity to withdraw peacefully. After that, the council will be forced to take alternative measures. Now it was Vaughn's turn to smile, revealing rows of serrated teeth. Is that a threat, emissary? Not at all, Reeves replied. Just a statement of fact. You have 12 hours to begin evacuation. Vaughn's third eye narrowed. Or what? The council will send more diplomats to bore me to death. You have no military vessels within 3 paracs of this system. True, the human acknowledged with a nod. But I'm here now. Nah. Something in her tone made Security Chief Dahmer step forward. Captain, perhaps we should. Silence. Bourne snapped, his attention still fixed on the human emissary Reeves. Let me explain something about the Zalaxian Empire. We take what we want. We've conquered 17 systems in the last decade alone. The Lorians were weak, as is your council, as are you. Reeves sighed, looking almost disappointed. I was afraid you might say that. She glanced at her wrist device. Well, I've officially delivered the council's message, evacuation in 12 hours or consequences. Now, if you'll excuse me, I should return to my ship. Vaughn's spines flared in anger. You're not going anywhere, human. Since you've delivered your message, you're no longer a diplomat. You're a prisoner. Perhaps a hostage will discourage any foolish council actions. The human didn't seem surprised. If anything, she looked pleased. Captain, detaining a council emissary is a serious violation of interstellar law. And what will you do about it? Fight your way past my guards. Bourne gestured to the heavily armed Zalaxians surrounding them. I've studied your species. You have no natural weapons, no armor, no toxic secretions. Your only advantage was your technology, which our dampening field has neutralized. Is that what you think? Reeves asked, tilting her head. That technology is our only advantage. For the first time, Vaughn felt a flicker of unease. There was something unsettling about the human's confidence. Take her to the detention level, he ordered. Maximum security protocols. Guards, moved to surround the human. Reeves didn't resist as she was escorted from the docking bay. Vaughn watched them go, trying to shake the odd sensation crawling up his spine. Captain. Lieutenant Morva approached, her scaled body coiling anxiously. The human ship, our scans show unusual readings. What kind of readings? Vaughn asked. We're not sure. The power signature is erratic, and there are traces of biological material we can't identify. Vaughn frowned. Quarantine the vessel. Full containment protocols. Already done, sir. Good. Now let's proceed. An alarm blared throughout the ship, cutting off his words. Red emergency lights pulsed along the corridors. Report. Bourne barked into his comm unit. The panicked voice of a security officer responded, Sir, the human, the transmission cut off abruptly. What in the seven hells is happening? Bourne demanded, turning to his officers. Chief, Delmare was already accessing a security feed on his data pad. The detention escort never arrived. Captain, they're all down in Corridor 7. Down. What do you mean, down? Dead or unconscious? We can't tell, the human is gone. Vorn's blood ran cold. That's impossible. For elite guards against one unarmed human. Alarms continued to sound throughout the ship. Reports flooded in from multiple decks, unauthorized access to computer systems, unexplained power fluctuations, strange noises in the ventilation shafts. Lock down the ship. Vorn ordered. All personnel on high alert. I want that human found now. As the command crew scrambled to respond, the lights on the bridge suddenly dimmed then brightened again. The main view screen flickered and changed, displaying the face of Emissary Reeves. Captain Vaughn, she said calmly. I believe I failed to properly introduce myself earlier. Emissary is my diplomatic title, but my military designation is Commander Talia Reeves, Special Operations Division, Earth Defense Force. Vaughn stared at the screen in disbelief. What have you done to my ship? Nothing permanent, yet. Reeves smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I've taken the liberty of accessing your ship's database. Fascinating history, the Zalaxian Empire, 17 conquered systems in 10 years, all previously occupied by pacifist species who couldn't defend themselves. How did you bypass our security? Vaughn demanded. The dampening field should have disabled our technology. Reeves finished for him. Captain, that's the fundamental mistake non-deathers always make. You think our technology is what makes us dangerous. A new alarm sounded, the environmental control system reporting multiple breaches. What you're experiencing now, Reeves continued, is what happens when you corner a deather. We don't need technology to be lethal. That's just a bonus. Vorn's third eye widened in realization. You planned this. You wanted to be captured. Diplomatic solutions are always preferable, she replied with a shrug. But we've learned to prepare alternatives when dealing with expansionist empires. Sir, Lieutenant Morva called out, her voice tight with panic, something's moving through the ventilation system, multiple somethings heading for the primary life support hub. And that, Reeves said, would be the rest of my team. Your team? Vorn hissed. Our scans detected only you aboard your vessel. I mentioned that earlier. Remember, your scans detected only one human life form. Her smile widened. The others aren't human. The image on the screen shifted, showing security footage from various parts of the ship. Dark, shintless shapes moved with terrifying speed through corridors and maintenance tunnels. Zalaxian guards fired plasma weapons, but the creatures seemed to anticipate the shots, dodging with impossible agility. What are those things? Bourne whispered, his spines flattening against his skull in instinctive fear. We call them ants, autonomous neurotactical symbionts, Reeves explained. Genetically engineered from Earth insects. They're quite intelligent, incredibly strong for their size, and completely loyal to their human handler. They're also immune to your dampening field since they're biological, not technological. As if to emphasize her point, the lights on the bridge flickered again. Several control panels sparked and went dark. Your ship is now under my control, Captain, Reeves stated flatly. I'm giving you one last chance to comply with the Council's directive, begin evacuation procedures immediately. Bourne's talons dug into the arms of his command chair. And if I refuse, then my team will disable your life support systems, not enough to kill you, just enough to make you wish we had. Deathworlders understand survival under adverse conditions better than anyone. The captain looked around at his terrified crew, then back at the screen. You're bluffing. One human couldn't possibly. Captain Reeves interrupted, her voice suddenly hard. On Earth, we have a saying, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Your species has evolved taking what you want from those who can't fight back. My species evolved fighting every day just to survive. Security feeds continued to show the advancing ants systematically neutralizing Zalaxian resistance throughout the ship. Last chance, Captain Reeves said. Evacuation orders, now. Vaughn looked at Security Chief Delmare, whose multiple eyes all reflected the same fear. She's not bluffing. Captain Dolmar, he said quietly, the stories about Deathworlders, they're not propaganda. For a moment, Vaughn considered ordering his crew to fight to the death, but as another control panel exploded in a shower of sparks, he realized this was a battle they couldn't win. Stand down, he finally ordered, his voice hollow with defeat. Prepare evacuation protocols. Relief visibly washed over his crew as they moved to comply. On the view screen, Reeves nodded. A wise decision, Captain. I'll be monitoring your progress from my ready room. Oh, and just so we're clear, this is now a Council protectorate. If the Zalaxian Empire attempts to return, the response won't be as restrained. The screen went dark, leaving Captain Vaughn staring at his own reflection. For the first time in his decorated military career, he had surrendered without firing a shot. All because of one human. Lieutenant Morva said quietly, "Yes, Captain." "Captain, send a message to High Command. Tell them," he paused, struggling to find the words, "tell them we've encountered a Deathworlder, and they should prepare accordingly." As the message was sent, Bourne couldn't help but wonder how many other empires had made the same fatal mistake by underestimating what happens when you back a species into a corner that evolved on a world where everything was already trying to kill them. The answer he now knew was simple: you run. 3 galactic standard weeks after the humiliating retreat from Taurus 9, Captain Drazak Vaughn stood before the Zalaxian War Council, his posture rigid despite the shame burning through his three-chambered heart. "So let me understand this correctly," growled Supreme Admiral Thax Vulgrim, his ancient scaled face creased with disgust. "You surrendered a Class 4 battleship with a crew of 800 elite warriors to a single human female and her insects. The circular chamber, carved from rare red granite mined from conquered worlds, amplified Vulgrim's voice. 11 other council members watched Vaughn with expressions ranging from contempt to morbid fascination. "Not insects," Admiral Vaughn corrected, keeping his voice steady, "genetically modified symbions with neural interfaces. They moved like nothing I've ever seen. Our weapons barely spare us your excuses." Vulgrim slammed a gnarled talon against the stone table. "The Zalaxian Empire does not retreat. We do not surrender. And we certainly don't allow ourselves to be outsmarted by primitive mammals or spinal plates flattened in submission. But," he persisted, "with respect, Admiral, I believe we've gravely misunderstood the human threat. The classification of Earth as a death world isn't merely academic. These creatures evolved in an environment where—" "Enough." Vulgrim cut him off. "Your career would be over, even if not for one thing. High Command finds your encounter instructive. The humans have been a minor nuisance until now, but their alliance with the Galactic Council changes our strategic calculations." Another council member, General Zixkeler, leaned forward, her violet scales glimmering under the chamber's harsh lighting. "Captain Vaughn, before we dismiss you, tell us, in your professional assessment, what makes these humans truly dangerous?" Vaughn paused, choosing his words carefully. "It's not their physical capabilities, though those are more formidable than their appearance suggests. It's not even their technology, despite their impressive bioengineering. It's their mindset. Humans don't fight like we do," he explained. "They fight for survival. They've been doing it since they crawled out of the mud on their death planet. Every predator, every disease, every natural disaster shaped them into creatures that absolutely refuse to die, and that makes them unpredictable." The council chamber fell silent as his words sank in. Finally, Vulgrim spoke again, his voice softer but no less menacing. "You have given us much to consider, Captain. You are reassigned, effective immediately. Report to Science Vessel Inevitable Discovery at 0600 tomorrow." You'll be working with our xenobiologists to develop countermeasures against these Deathworlders. Bourne saluted, relief washing through him. Reassignment was far better than execution, which he had half expected. I serve the Empire, Admiral. Dismissed. As Vaughn turned to leave, Vulgrim added, and Vaughn, don't fail us again, or you'll discover that humans aren't the only species that can be ruthless when cornered. Boarding the inevitable Discovery, Vaughn found himself in a Spartan laboratory surrounded by specimen containment units and holographic displays. The ship orbited a remote gas giant in the outer reaches of Xalaxian space, far from potential prying eyes. Captain Vaughn, welcome. A slender Xalaxian female approached, her scales a pale blue-gray, unusual for their species. I'm Dr. Jelinek, head of xenobiology. Doctor, Vaughn acknowledged with a curt nod. I was told you've been studying humans for some time. Indeed, she replied, gesturing toward a nearby workstation. Though viable specimens are difficult to acquire, the Council protects them rather jealously these days. The display showed rotating anatomical models of various species, including a detailed human male. Physically unimpressive, aren't they? Nex commented, manipulating the display to highlight the human's musculature. No natural armor, dull teeth, blunt nails, relatively weak compared to many sentient species. And yet, she tapped another control, and the display shifted to video footage. Or recognize it immediately, she continued, combat recordings from various encounters between humans and other species, a human lifting a fallen support beam that should have been too heavy, another continuing to fight despite injuries that would incapacitate most species, a third surviving environmental conditions that should have been lethal. They're full of contradictions. Next. Vaughn asked. Their bodies are fragile yet remarkably resilient. Their technology is advanced, yet they rely on biological adaptations more than any other advanced species. They form emotional attachments easily, yet can become terrifyingly pragmatic when threatened. Vaughn watched the footage with growing unease. What is it you're trying to accomplish here, Doctor? Finding a biological weakness we can exploit? Nexa's scales rippled in what might have been amusement. Nothing so crude, Captain. We're trying to understand them. After all, one must understand an enemy to defeat them. She led him deeper into the laboratory. Past workstations where other scientists analyzed data and conducted experiments, they stopped before a heavily secured door. What I'm about to show you is classified at the highest level, Nex said, placing her palm against a scanner. The door hissed open, revealing a dimly lit chamber beyond. She followed him inside and froze. In the center of the room, suspended in a transparent containment field, was one of the creatures from Taurus 9, one of the ants. It was larger than he remembered, about the size of a Xalaxian child. Its chitinous exoskeleton gleamed black in the low light, and multiple limbs ended in wicked points. Most disturbing were its eyes, compound structures that seemed to track their movement despite the creature's apparent sedation. How did you capture it? Vaughn whispered, taking an involuntary step back. We didn't, Nex replied. This is a replicated specimen, created from genetic samples recovered from your ship. Not a perfect copy, but close enough for our purposes. The creature twitched within its containment field, and Vaughn flinched. Don't worry, Captain. It's secure, Nex assured him. But what's fascinating isn't its physical characteristics. She approached a console and brought up a neural scan. It's this. The display showed the creature's brain activity, a complex rhythmic pattern unlike anything Vaughn had seen before. What am I looking at? A neurosymbiotic imprint? Vaughn asked. Exactly, Nex explained. This creature's brain has been modified to resonate with human neural patterns. It's not just engineered, it's bonded at a fundamental level. Meaning, it doesn't just obey commands, it shares consciousness with its human partner. They think as one, act as one. The human extends their will through these creatures as naturally as you or I would move an arm or leg. Vaughn stared at the creature with new understanding. So when that human emissary took control of my ship, she wasn't working alone. Next finished. She was operating through multiple extensions of herself. And here's the truly concerning part, our intelligence suggests this technology isn't even military grade. It's a civilian adaptation of something much more sophisticated. A chill ran down Vaughn's spine. If that's true, then what are their actual military capabilities? He asked, turning to face her directly. That's exactly what we need to find out, and quickly, because the War Council didn't tell you everything, Captain. 3 more Zalaxian outposts have been peacefully reclaimed by the Galactic Council in the past week, always with human representatives leading the negotiations. Negotiations? Vaughn scoffed. You mean ultimatums, precisely. And so far every commander has chosen to withdraw rather than engage. Vaughn frowned. Smart decision, perhaps, based on my experience. Nex conceded, but the Empire cannot continue to lose territory without resistance, which is why we're developing this. She led him to another section of the lab where a team of scientists worked around what appeared to be a modified communication array. Project Severance, Nex said with evident pride, a targeted neural disruptor designed to break the symbiotic bond between humans and their biological extensions. You think you can sever their connection? Bourne asked skeptically. We've already succeeded in initial tests. The real challenge is deploying it effectively in combat conditions. A new voice interrupted them. Which is where you come in, Captain Vaughn. Vaughn turned to see Admiral Krell Dorvax, head of special operations, entering the laboratory. Unlike most Zalaxians, Dorvax had opted for extensive cybernetic enhancements, giving him an unsettling appearance, half organic, half machine. Admiral Vaughn saluted sharply. I wasn't aware you were involved in this project. Few are, Dorvax replied, his voice carrying a mechanical undertone. The Council believes our recent setbacks with humans require a specialized response. Dorvax gestured for them to follow him to a holographic tactical display. In 48 hours, a Galactic Council delegation will arrive at our mining facility on Helios Prime. Intelligence confirms a human operative will be present, likely with similar capabilities to the one you encountered. Vaughn felt his stomach tighten. And you want me to engage them after what happened on Taurus 9? Not engaged, Dorvax corrected. Test. You'll be in command of a small escort vessel, equipped with a prototype of Dr. Nex's neural disruptor. Your mission is to activate it when the human is present and observe the effects. And if it doesn't work? Vaughn asked. Dorvax's cybernetic eye glowed slightly brighter. Then you retreat and report your findings. We're not risking another battleship on an unproven technology. Bourne looked between the Admiral and the scientist. I'm no coward, but these humans, they're not like other adversaries. They don't think like we do. That's precisely why we need someone with first-hand experience, Nex said. You've seen them in action. You know what to look for, I've seen them win. Bourne countered, and Dorvax's mechanical hand clamped down on Vaughn's shoulder with uncomfortable pressure. Then help us ensure they don't win again. The Zalaxian escort vessel's silent verdict dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Helios system, its stealth systems immediately engaging. Captain Vaughn stood on the compact bridge, watching as the ship's sensors detected the approaching Galactic Council delegation. 2 vessels were reported by Tactical Officer Grex Tarn, 1 diplomatic cruiser of Relian design, 1 unknown configuration. He frowned at his display. The second ship is small, highly maneuverable, likely human. And life signs? Vaughn asked. 12 Reions aboard the cruiser. The human vessel shows 1 human life form and multiple unidentifiable biosignatures, just like last time, Vaughn thought grimly. Position us behind Helios 3's moon, Intab. We'll observe the delegation's approach before activating the disruptor. As the silent vessel moved into position, Dr. Nex approached Vaughn, her scale slightly paler than usual, a sign of anxiety among Zalaxians. Remember, Captain, the disruptor has a limited range. We need to be within 5,000 kilometers for optimal effect. That close to a human vessel? Bourne's spines twitched involuntarily. They'll detect us. Not with our stealth systems, Admiral Dorvax interjected from his position at the command station. And even if they do, the disruptor will neutralize their biological weapons before they can deploy them. Bourne wasn't so confident, but he kept his doubts to himself as he watched the approaching vessels on the tactical display. The delegation has made contact with the mining facility, Tarn reported. Standard diplomatic protocols, they're requesting a meeting with the facility administrator and the human vessel. Dorvax asked, maintaining position 500 kilometers from the facility, they appear to be waiting. Bourne studied the sensor readings with growing concern. That's not right. Based on my experience, they should be positioning their biological assets strategically around the facility. Perhaps this human has different tactics, Nex suggested. Or perhaps, Vaughn said slowly, a terrible suspicion is forming in my mind, they're aware of our presence. As if in response to his words, the ship's proximity alarm blared. On the tactical display, the human vessel suddenly accelerated, not toward the mining facility, but directly toward their position behind the moon. Impossible, Dorvax snarled. Our stealth systems are state-of-the-art. They cannot detect us at this range. Met. Evidently, they can, Vaughn replied, his voice tense. Battle stations. Prepare to activate the disruptor on my mark. The crew scrambled to comply as the human vessel closed the distance with frightening speed. They're hailing us, Tarn announced, sounding surprised. Bourne exchanged glances with Dorvax, who gave a curt nod. Put it through. The main view screen activated, revealing a human male with dark skin and close-cropped gray hair. Unlike Emissary Reeves, this human wore what was clearly a military uniform. The Zalaxian vessel, the human said without preamble, this is Commander Marcus Wolf of the Earth Defense Force. You are in violation of the demilitarized zone established by Galactic Council Resolution 7293. Dorvax stepped forward, his cybernetic enhancements gleaming under the bridge lights. This is Admiral Krell Dorvax of the Zalaxian Empire. We acknowledge no such resolution. This system belongs to the Empire. The human's expression remained neutral. Then I assume you're also not acknowledging the formal surrender of Taurus 9 by Captain Vaughn or the subsequent diplomatic agreements covering all former Zalaxian outposts in this sector. Vaughn felt the eyes of the bridge crew on him and fought to maintain his composure. We're conducting a routine patrol, Dorvax lied smoothly. Nothing more, he added, with a prototype neural disruptor aimed at their delegation. Commander Wolf raised an eyebrow, seeming rather hostile. The bridge fell silent. How could they possibly know about the disruptor? Dr. Nexa's voice was barely audible as she whispered, it's impossible. The technology is classified. There's no way they could know. 5,000 kilometers, Tarn interrupted, his voice tight. The human vessel is now within optimal range for the disruptor. Dorvax's cybernetic eye pulsed brightly. Activate it now. Wait, began Wolf advised. You might want to check your engine status first. Torin frantically scanned his console. Sir, we have multiple breaches in the engine compartment, system failures cascading throughout the ship. Impossible. Dorvax roared. We would have detected any boarding attempt. On the view screen, Wolf sighed. You're thinking like a Zalaxian again, Admiral. Looking for things you can see, weapons you can counter. He leaned closer to the camera. Did Captain Vaughn not explain this to you? We don't need to board your ship to disable it. Bourne suddenly understood. Micro-drones, he said, his voice hollow. Biological components small enough to evade our scanners, slipped aboard during construction or maintenance. Wolf nodded approvingly. Very good. Captain, dormant until activated by a specific signal, we've had them installed on every Zalaxian military vessel built in the last 8 months, just a precaution. You understand, the lights on the bridge flickered and died, replaced by dim emergency lighting. The ship's artificial gravity wavered momentarily. Life support remains functional, Tarn reported, his voice strained, but propulsion, weapons, and communications are offline. Dorvax's cybernetic enhancement sparked as he turned on Vaughn. You knew about this. You're working with them. Don't be absurd. Vaughn snapped, I tried to tell you, humans don't think like we do. They don't play by the same rules. On the screen, still powered by a separate system, Commander Wolf cleared his throat. If you're finished with your internal disputes, I have a proposition. The Galactic Council is prepared to offer the Zalaxian Empire honorable terms for a formal cessation of hostilities. We will never surrender. Dorvax snarled, oh, this isn't about surrender. Wolf said mildly, it's about intelligence. Right now, every military vessel in your fleet is compromised. We could shut them all down with a single command, but the Council prefers peaceful resolutions. Vaughn stepped forward.